In terms of my background, I've grown up in Birmingham, and I've got a strong family unit. My sister Shalene, and I've got another 2 sisters and a brother, and I've always had kind of a passion about writing, poetry, even things such as short stories, and also dance. I'm quite creative in that sense, so yeah, I've kind of grown up with a family who's quite creative as well, so yeah.
Yeah, born, bred in Birmingham as well, so that's our town. And I went to Loughborough University, which wasn't actually too far from Simone's University, so we would meet each other here and then. While I was there, I started up a small band with a few friends there, and because I play the viola as well, so we play the viola, and they would sing or play guitar, and we'd join together and we'd do a few performances and a few gigs there. So that was kind of the start of my creative streak, as it was. So yeah, so it's like Simone said, we are part of a creative family.
Patience stood by my front door. She stenciled pictures of the rooftops onto dotted signature lines, took my hand, smiled, and with a voice that melted sand into glass, she said, "I don't mind helping you."
I remember looking in retrospect that the last time I actually saw you in performance, it was at the Nottingham Playhouse. So the buzzword here is Mouth of Poets, yet again. Now, what I thought was so interesting at the time, because from out of that experience, a convivial experience, music, spoken word, in the same breath, I am tempted to ask you, where have you performed before the advent of the Nottingham Playhouse?
So originally, I think it was like we were both kind of doing performances in our own fields separately. Eventually, we started performing together. I think there was an opportunity. Actually, the Mouthy Poets said, "Oh, you know, to perform," and that was in Birmingham Jewellery Quarter. And then we just decided to bring it both together, both the music and the poetry.
We just wanted to collaborate together to make a different look or a different sound to the performance. So you're having Simone doing her poetry, and then there's music as well with it, so it just creates that atmosphere, a kind of mood to it, gives you a different mood to it. So so that was the first performance in Birmingham, and then there's another Mouthy Poets performance in Nottingham, and that was the first time that I did it on a main stage, like a larger stage, and that was a good opportunity as well, doing that, and that's where it's sort of like the ball was rolling there. Yeah. That's where it started.
Yeah, I think we kind of surprised ourselves in a sense where the initial poetry performance in Birmingham, I think we just thought, oh, let's try something different. But then with the feedback, quite a few people wanted us to kind of perform elsewhere, and that's how we kind of rolled on with the performances. Yeah. And now I think we've been to quite a few kind of different events. I mean, standout ones I would say, we went to the Paralympics and actually performed there once, which was an amazing experience. And then there's been kind of a few shows here in Birmingham, also in Coventry, and there's been a few in Milton Keynes and Nottingham, of course, where I went to university.
What have you discovered since joining Mouthy Poets?
So with Mouthy Poets, I think it's, for me anyway, it's one of my foundations in performance poetry and even written poetry, and kind of being yourself within your work in what you do. I think that the way that it's helped me, having a background in dance, I used to be able to get away with having large movements without speaking. And I found that through going to Mouthy Poets, they encouraged me not only with pushing boundaries in how I write, because I used to write a lot in the sense of kind of rhymes and typical poetry, but it pushed the barriers to use words that I wouldn't normally use, and link things how I wouldn't normally link together, and get more intimate with words, in a sense where now I can actually perform and be confident on stage and believe in what I'm speaking about. When I first started, I was very nervous and I was shaking all over the words, and I didn't really, I had a love for poetry, but I didn't really understand how to write a good poem. But I think it's helped me progress in that sense.
Well, as for me, joining up with Mouthy Poets is just a great opportunity, because I kind of got into a stage where I was just settling, and when that opportunity came for me, I just thought that was, a really good opportunity to work with Simone, and to be able to write music as well, because we did a performance, and Simone did her poem, and she thought of the words for this song, and I just kind of put the music over it and just sang it, and it was part of that poem, and it worked really well. And at that time as well, there was a small band that was there called Wooden Arms, and that was the first time that they had been with Mouthy Poets, so they just started to bring this sort of music. Music was starting to go into the kind of poetry side, and so me and Simone spoke to the band, and we asked if they could accompany us as well. So I was playing viola, and then there was one guy who was on the cello, and one was on the keyboard, and another guy was on the electric guitar. So it was kind of like a mellow sound that was going with it, and it really worked. It worked really well. It's sort of like, it sounded like a little soundtrack in a way, and I think that was where the spark was really, and I started enjoying doing that, and then so I think Mouthy Poets was like it brought that opportunity. It was like a plate that was just opened for people to bring in their talents, bring in their passions and things, and I thought, doing that was just really good.
Yeah, I think as well with Mouthy Poets, they've got a blog whereby when we was about to perform, we had to kind of input, what we were going to perform out of poem and the song, and we get feedback off other people who are also performing, and that they can be, honest if it's good, if it's not good, what works, what doesn't work, and that is a way of helping you see your work in a different, through a different light, and I think that helps quite a lot, and the fact that they encourage feedback rather than just going performing. That's it. They want you to grow. They want your work to be at its best. So it's been pretty good. Yeah.
So this poem is about an experience that happened to my auntie. It's called "We Were So Annoyed," and I'll let it speak for itself. Squirrels scream. Like the tears she cried flooded the river Severn. And if time ever chose a moment to stop in eternity, it would be then that she tried not to cry. We were so annoyed that the pain did not justify the void. She thought paraffin heaters had eyes that pierced through the soul of every child. She felt lopsided, wondered if the tears of 1,009 children would have put out the fire that night. That locks are deemed to keep the devil out, but what if he's already inside? It was just a loaf of bread, she said, just a loaf of bread she needed. Her children sat there waiting for something normal to happen. So she dug into the ground, searching for the pounding sounds of their bodies.
The question I'd like to put to you, Shirley, is what inspired you to gravitate to music?
What inspired me? I think for me, it was hearing it in my home. That's where it started really, because my dad, he used to be an organist, he used to play the organ, and he used to have competitions, and he would win like awards and things. So, and he used to teach me how to play the organ when we used to have an electrical organ at home. We used to have that, and my dad used to have the teachers to play, and then from then, my mum, she encouraged us as a family really to go into music, and so I went into primary school playing the violin. Started off badly, as you usually do, but you get used to it, and I enjoyed playing, but as a young person, you kind of lose focus and you just think, oh, I don't really want to do this anymore. And my mum, she encouraged me. She said, oh, Shalene, you should keep going. You'd regret it when you're older. And I was like, oh, really? But I think that was a good thing she said that to me. So when I went into secondary school, I was playing the violin, and then my teacher said, how about playing viola? And I didn't really know much about the viola, and it's like, oh, well, no one really plays that. So I started playing the viola. So it's a bit like the violin, just that it's got a deeper sound, a mellow sound. And so I was doing that, playing in the school orchestra, and then I went on to a youth orchestra as well. And so I was going on into college, and I started to enjoy listening to film music. So that's where my passion came from really, just being around it all the time, and performing, and that's where I got my inspiration from, and I just hope to keep doing it as well, and encouraging young people as well. So because I start started this youth band as part of my church youth group. My brother, he said, oh, we need someone to start this off, and I said, oh, I'll give it a go. Not thinking much of it, and it just something started there, and inspiring young people to step forward in performance, because you know, when they're shy, because I can relate to that, because I was shy performing. You get shy, but when you keep doing it, it just it helps you, and just being a part of that is just really great opportunity. So, but yeah, but the inspiration is just start just being around music all the time.
Our culture, the building bricks, or the building blocks of where we start, where are we going to go, and what is the end result of all of this. So yes, for the keyboard, the organ, out of which springs, you'd say, the tree, the chakras. From the chakras come the violin, and out of that the viola, and out of that a sense of conviviality, because orchestration and ensemble, that sort of culture, meaning there is an outreach, and at long last you're beginning to supply the hunger and thirst of others who are seeking the same thing. From music comes order, and the order brings with it a long-lasting benefit to your children, your children's children, whilst at the same time inspiring a school of blossoming, talented youngsters who want, they are looking for people who provide waymakers, you could say, and you are doing just that. I am very impressed by what you've said.